All right, here we have the Toshiba Crystal Zephyr from around 1970, give or take maybe a year or so. I picked this one up over the summer and I made a video of it at the time, but I have since cleaned and serviced the fan. And it didn't turn out quite as well as I had hoped. It's still pretty rough, but it's fully functional and it still looks cool and it runs pretty good. We'll get to that. It's got its issues, but cosmetically, it's pretty rough. There's quite a bit of rust on the guards and the chrome is peeling. There's really only so much I'm going to be able to do with that. But could be worse, I guess. The blade is in good shape, no cracks or chips or anything like that. Rear guard is also rusted. You can see the inside of the front guard, how much rust is in there. Maybe you can see it. Maybe it's not going to focus. Anyway, plastic is pretty well eroded on the motor housing. Fan is mostly all metal though. I think the base, the entirety of the base is metal. The neck, I think the front half of the motor housing is metal. The rear obviously is plastic blade obviously, but there's a lot of metal in this fan. It's pretty awesome fan. I'm not sure how much this would have costed new back in around 1970, but from what I could gather, it was probably around $30, maybe a little bit more than that, which adjusted for inflation today, I think would be over $200 for a new one of these, which seems ridiculous until you start taking this thing apart and realizing the build quality was just way off the charts compared to any fan that you're going to buy today, table fans anyway. So let's try to tip this thing back and make it still fit on the table. It's a big fan. Here's the sticker. Model EL-31C. It is the 30 centimeters fan rated at 0.8 amps. 0.8 seems kind of high for a PSC motor, which it's not a PSC motor. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It doesn't look like a shaded pole motor to me. It seems like some kind of a weird in-between hybrid. And inside the base here, there's a wiring diagram which shows a main, the furnace just kicked on, shows a main coil, and then it also references a regulator coil, which I'm not really sure what that is, and I'm not going to pretend like I know more about electric motors than I do. So I took a little video of the wiring diagram inside the base, and we'll go ahead and put that in right about here. Okay, so here is the connection diagram, and we are inside the base of the fan. You can see the switch right there, and this is what it tells us. You've got the line in running through the main coil, and then what we're calling a regulator coil, but no capacitor. No traditional capacitor to speak of. So it resembles a PSC motor, but I'm not sure what exactly that means, a regulator coil. So that's a little different than I'm used to seeing. So yeah, you guys derive from that what you can. Let me know if that makes any sense to anybody. I don't think the video really does it justice on how big this really is. So I'm going to put a Galaxy fan next to it just to kind of give it some scale. You guys will be if you're not familiar with the Toshiba Crystal Zephyr, I think most of you should be familiar with the Galaxy fan. So there's a size difference, and the weight difference is even more, I think. I don't have a scale here, but this thing is easily twice as heavy as a Galaxy fan. I think they both move about the same amount of air though. Just my opinion. Well, it's not just my opinion, I can back that up with velocity measurements, but let's see how it performs. I've got it plugged into the power meter over here, and it makes a hellacious buzzing sound only on high speed for some reason, except I ran the fan for a couple of hours earlier and it seemed to go away over time, so we'll see if it still does that. Here, start it on high. Fan has pretty cool startup sounds. Well, so far it's not doing the buzzing sound, but when it was making that noise, I had tore the fan down probably 3 times trying to isolate it and figure out where it was coming from, and it seemed like it was coming from the motor itself, like a combination of the windings and the rotor chatter in the motor was the sound that I was hearing, but it's not doing it now. There's a little bit of some kind of noise coming out of the bench. That's not from the fan. Alright, let's see. Remember, we were rated at 0.8 and we are at 0.6 amps, so we're well within spec, and we'll do velocity feet per minute measurement. So we're maxing out there in between 11 to 1200 feet per minute, which is right in their Galaxy territory, right about the same as the Galaxy fan. So far, so good. It's run perfectly. Put it on to medium. Hopefully you guys can hear some of those motor sounds over the furnace. Whether you're going up or down in between the speeds, whenever we change speeds on this, there's usually some cool motor sounds that come out of it. It's like it's slower to pick up speed and it's slower to decrease, and you can hear it, and it sounds pretty cool. Medium speed, we're at 0.43 amps, and right around 700 feet per minute. Put on a low. And we're in the 500 feet per minute for the low speed, which is a really nice low speed. A lot of fans, like I think the Galaxy fan was running in the 700s. Low speed on that thing was like medium speed on this, and I like a lower low speed like this. It's 0.3 amps on low. Just a really nice kind of fluttering, totally silent low speed. See how it runs on oscillation. It was getting hung up a little bit earlier. I think I tightened this mounting screw back in here. I think I might have over tightened it a little bit. We'll see if it gets hung up here. I might have to help it. I also stripped the bracket screw, the little, you can't see it, but the little screw that screws into the bottom of the bracket and mounts or connects the oscillation mechanism. Just taking the fan apart so many times trying to figure out where the sounds were coming from. I managed to strip the threads on that screw, but it's holding up in there pretty good. I don't think it's going to fall out or anything. A little bit of faint buzzing sounds coming out of there. Pretty good spin down on the 4-leaf clover blade. See if we can catch some startup sounds out of this. Hopefully we can hear it over the furnace. I'll start it on high here. And 2. And the low speed. We'll bump it up to high from here.